China, the Chinese chicken. You have a drumstick and your brain stops sticking.
Hey everyone, this is China Chicken, and I wanted to do a box score breakdown of the Buffalo Bills versus Baltimore Ravens game on Sunday Night Football. It was a hell of a game, amazing game, especially in the fourth quarter, if you're a Bills fan at least. So here we go. The Bills won 41-40, and the Bills started off the season 1-0, and Ravens started off 0-1. So we'll start with Lamar Jackson here. Lamar Jackson went 14 for 19, 209 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also took 2 sacks for 15 yards. So pretty good game for Lamar. Very, efficient overall. Didn't have a whole lot in the fourth quarter, though. You go over the Josh Allen. He went 33 for 46, 394 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 sack for 5 yards. And you can see just the difference in attempts that Josh Allen had over Lamar Jackson. It's because the Bills were down the whole game. They were down 2 scores and they were playing catch up, so they had to throw the ball a lot more. You go down to Baltimore's rushing. Obviously, have Derrick Henry, 18 carries for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns, and his long was 49 yards. Hell of a game for Derrick Henry. He did have a crucial fumble, though, towards the end of the game, which they probably lost because of that. And then Lamar Jackson, 6 for 70 and a touchdown on a 19-yard run. Oh, Justice Hill had 2 carries for -14. That's kind of interesting. I think he had minus 13 on one of those carries, but still, that's kind of crazy. Buffalo rushing. James Cook went 13 for 44. Not very good running the ball, but he did have a touchdown. Josh Allen, 14 for 30, 2 rushing touchdowns. So not a very good rushing day for the Bills. But again, they were playing catch-up, so they were throwing the ball a lot. On receiving side, you got Zay Flowers. Wow, 7 catches for 143 yards and a touchdown on 9 targets. So really efficient game for him, and his long was 39 yards. DeAndre Hopkins had 2 catches for 35, and that really nice one-handed touchdown that he had, and that was on 2 targets as well. Not much after that. If you just look at the stats here, not much at all outside of Zay Flowers, and then really just one incredible catch by Hopkins. For the Bills, everyone kind of did a little bit of something. See, everyone eats. Everybody eats. Keon Coleman had 8 catches for 112 yards on one touchdown. And his long was 25 yards, which I think was that last play that set them up for the game-winning field goal on 11 targets. So great game for Keon Coleman. That was probably his best game of his career. It was his best game of his career, actually, as a second-year wide receiver. Khalil Shakir does what he does, 6 catches for 64 yards. That's his stat line like every single game almost, 6 for 60 on 9 targets, so good for him. Josh Palmer, a new wide receiver for the Bills this year, 5 for 61 on 9 targets. James Cook, 5 catches for 58 yards on 5 targets. That's nice to see from James Cook. Well, I mean, one of them was a 51-yarder, so that's most of the yardage. But it's just nice to see them getting him involved in the receiving game as well. Dalton Kincaid, 4 for 48 with a touchdown. I believe that was the first touchdown of the game. Jackson Hawes had that really nice 1 catch for 29 yards that almost was a touchdown, but it did set them up for a touchdown. So great receiving for the Bills. And again, we talked about this. Baltimore fumbled. Derrick Henry fumbled towards the end of the game. And Terrell Bernard recovered that one. All the other fumbles weren't lost by the team. So let's see here. Baltimore's defense, Roquan Smith had 10 tackles. So, wow, he was, all over the place. Kyle Hamilton also 9 tackles. Let's see. Matabuke had the 1 sack for the Ravens, and they didn't have any interceptions at all. A couple tackles for loss, but not much. All right, Bills side, Benford had 7 tackles, which usually isn't, Christian Benford's their starting cornerback. That's usually not a good stat for a cornerback, is having 7 tackles. That means you're giving up a lot of catches and then tackling the wide receiver. So not a great game for Benford, in my opinion. Ed Oliver, he's probably going to win Defensive Player of the Week, I hope. He had 6 tackles, but he also had 1 sack and then 3 tackles for loss, and he forced that fumble on Derrick Henry. I don't know if it shows up in the stats on ESPN, but again, Taylor Rapp, 6 tackles, Dorian Williams, 5 tackles. They had to use a lot of Dorian Williams, even though he's their third linebacker. They had to play a lot of base 4-3 defense, so they had Dorian Williams in a lot. Manuano had a sack as well. Trell Bernard, a tackle for loss. Daquan Jones, tackle for loss. Other than that, not too much. No interceptions, like I said. Couple returns. Rasheen Ali, 6 for 167. Brandon Codrington, 5 for 139. Nowadays, they get a lot of returns because of the changes to the kickoff. So a lot of teams are returning the ball. So you see a lot of yardage from the returners now. Punts we won't really talk about. Tyler Loop, the kicker, went 2 for 2 field goals and 4 out of 5 extra points. That 1 extra point miss was huge, obviously, because of the final score here. Matt Prater, 3 for 3 field goals and then 2 for 2, which, they brought in Matt Prater like last week or something. So that's pretty crazy. Another thing I wanted to go through with the box score, not just the box score, is the team stats. So let's kind of talk about this a little bit. The Ravens had 19 first downs. Bills had 29. Wow. Passing first downs, 8-18. Rushing first downs, 10-9. I was actually surprised that the Bills almost had as many rushing first downs as the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens just had a lot of long runs. So maybe that's why. First downs from penalties, 1-2. Third down efficiency. This is always a big stat here. Third and fourth down efficiency. Baltimore Ravens were 6 of 11, so just a little bit over 500. Bills were 7 of 15 on third down, so just under 500 or under 50%. I mean, but the Bills were 1 for 1 on fourth down. Baltimore didn't go for it at all on fourth down, so kind of interesting there. Total plays. The Bills had 28 more total plays. That's kind of crazy there. But again, they were playing from behind, so they kind of had to. Total yardage, Bills beat them. Total drives, Bills had 1 more drive than the Ravens. That usually makes sense, I think. Yards per play, here we go. So Baltimore had 8.6 yards per play. Bills were 6.4. So again, a lot of big plays from Baltimore. Passing yardage, this is the big difference. Bills had 389 to Baltimore's 194, so quite a bit different. This is all pretty much quarterback stats here, so we won't talk about this too much. Rushing, okay, this must be yardage, 238 to 108, wow. Rushing attempts, Bills had 2 more rushing attempts, wow. So, okay, here, yards per rush, 8.2 to 3.5, wow, they more than doubled their yards per rush. That's kind of crazy. Oh, here's kind of a cool stat here. Red zone made an attempt. So Ravens were only in the red zone 3 times, and they were only 1 of 3. But again, a lot of big plays for touchdowns, so they weren't in the red zone for those. The Bills went 5 for 7 in the red zone, so very efficient there. 5 for 7 is really good. And I believe that counts field goals too. So field goals and touchdowns count, I believe. Penalties, I didn't notice a whole lot of penalties, but I guess there were some. 7 for 51 and then 5 for 38 for the Bills. Turnovers, this was usually is the biggest stat in football, and it definitely was in this game. The 1 turnover really screwed the Ravens there and really made them lose the game. Was that 1 fumble from Derrick Henry? So there we go. And then no defensive touchdowns or special teams touchdowns from either team. Also, time of possession, very important as well. Obviously, the Bills only won by 1 point, but they had over 9 more minutes of total possession. That's usually, this stat and turnovers are usually what can tell the difference in the game. So that was pretty fun to go through. So let me know if you guys have any comments down below about the team stats or the box score breakdown. Let me know what you think about the Bills versus Ravens game. That was like one of the best games I've ever watched. especially since the Bills won. They've had a lot of these games where they've lost this type of game. So I'm really feeling like this year might be the year for the Bills, and I hope it is. So let me know what you think down below. Leave a like, subscribe. Have a great day, and go Bills.
Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. You have a drumstick and your brain stops sticking.